And her question is, how would you engage young people in the party and in policy making? How would you encourage the party to do so now?
So Mary, when I get these kinds of questions, I always say to people, it's easy to talk about this stuff. It's really easy to make up stories and say our brilliant plans, but I wish people would always ask the leadership candidates, what have you already done to make this happen? And that kind of question really applies here, because what I've already done is what I would do in the future and what I would do now as leader. So what we've already done in the 2019 campaign, we decided to set up a really focused youth program inside our riding campaign. And we invited dozens and dozens of Greens to come from across the country and help us out in our campaign. And we would offer them resources, very valuable resources. We said, we'll give you a place to sleep. You'll have breakfast every day. You can eat every meal in the campaign office if you want. The fridge will be full. And not only that, but we're counting on you to help design your own program. One of my daughters, Sarah, was key to making this happen. And we basically said, go to it. We brought 25 people from across Canada, PEI, Nova Scotia, everywhere in between. They came to BC. We even offered them part-time jobs. We would link them up to employers. And they created their own program. They named it Paint the Island Green for Vancouver Island. And they took over parts of our campaign, the Instagram account, part of our social media. They were out door knocking every day. And they were determining how they wanted to campaign. And they were learning from us in some ways. Many of them had never knocked on a door before. And they were also teaching us a lot about organization and enthusiasm. And what happened is that created a sense of energy. And then older people would come in, partly because our campaign office was just hopping. And they go out and door knock too to be part of the fun. And it really created this positive energy. And same thing on policy. I'm really a believer that, you know, our Young Green Council, our Young Green representatives across the country should play a key role, not just in identifying youth policy, but also as a filter, as a review for all of the policy we develop. We have 2 youth representatives in the shadow cabinet. That's great. And the shadow cabinet plays a key role in building our platform. That's great. But let's make sure that that platform has been reviewed by the full Council of Young Greens, and that there's a real sense of engagement on youth issues, because if we can engage youth, it's going to crack the code on going from 1.1 million to 1.5. And it's not just about workers, enthusiastic owners, and door knockers. It's also about people reaching out to their friends and saying, you need to vote. And more than that, you need to speak to your parents and your grandparents about voting. And we found that here in our riding too. I was the Friday climate strikers, the school kids, you know, high school, primary school, who were striking on Fridays. I was there on their first climate strike on the legislature steps here in Victoria. It was a cold, rainy December, and there were only about 8 of them. And so I met all their parents and some grandparents too. And it grew and grew and grew. And so when you're there right at the start and you're going every couple of weeks, they were doing it every second Friday. You get to know people. By the end of the summer, we were filling the lawn, the whole lawn at the front of the legislature with demonstrators. And it wasn't just young climate strikers anymore. It was a whole movement. And so I see that as critical to this movement of movements I talked about earlier. Engage young people, build on the energy, empower, listen to their policy insights, integrate what they say. It all has to be done in a comprehensive way. We did it here in Esquimalt-Saint-Achuk, and I think it would be easy to scale it up across the country, and I'd be really enthusiastic as leader in making that a priority for us. Thanks, Mary.